Welcome to The Mix, a fusion dance podcast where we dive into the world of blending dances and all that comes with it. We're talking about everything from the highs of nailing that perfect combo to the lows, emotional, and mental challenges and more. And if you're new to the dance scene, don't worry, we've got you covered with practical tips to help get you started, feel comfortable, and most importantly, have fun. So come on in. We can't wait to dance with you.
We actually officially, if you haven't caught the announcement yet, we officially started FU, aka Fusion University. We're going to be having practicas, lessons, classes. We're going to have takeovers. We're taking over streets. We're taking over blocks. We're having parties outside, inside, upside. Okay, maybe we're not doing all that kind of stuff, right? But we are starting FU. That's happening. That's official, and we're super excited.
Whee! Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I feel
Woo,
like
woo,
people are gonna
woo.
be like, what is FU or Fusion University? It's funny because I feel like in people's minds, the FU part is gonna stick. Well, first of all, what
Mhm.
is FU or why did we choose to start it?
Mhm. We very much love the idea of a focused practica and continued growth. And we have been to different events, we've been to different places, we've gotten to travel. And one of the things that we've heard again and again is that for a scene to grow and to get really good, people have to practice. There has to be a culture of practice. There's no growth without it. It's something that I'm familiar with from sports and something that, Trang being part of a hip hop group and all the other things that she's been part of where like you have to practice. That's just the reality. Like you don't get all of your potential maxed out unless you practice. That plus a whole bunch of other experiences and things have led us to starting this whole thing.
If you think about it, where are opportunities where you can give people feedback and receive feedback? We go
Mhm.
social dancing, but that's a place where people say you're not supposed to, and when you go to class, you're a lot of times listening to the teacher, but you're not usually given time or space to give or receive feedback from your dance partner on what feels better or or if whatever you're doing is working. So I think having an opportunity or space to allow people to have that is, like you said, it's going to up their game. We have both heard from many dance scenes, to be honest, how because I understand that a lot of things are open classes, social dances are open to the public, but because of that, anyone can come in. And some of these anyone people can come in makes some people feel uncomfortable because their intentions might not be there to dance, might not be there to try to learn and get better, but rather to
Menace,
and
lurk.
we've yeah, lurk. And we've heard enough stories and
Yeah.
I mean, luckily I haven't really quite been involved or been unlucky, unfortunate with that, but it's unfortunate hearing that this happens in so many, almost actually all dance
Yeah.
events that we've been to, and that there has to be safety measures. Sometimes, actually, most of the time, there are not safety measures. And so, because of that, we want to create a space where people have fun, that people
Mhm.
are learning and growing
Yeah.
and want to learn and grow, and also know that they're going to be safe. And if something happens, they can report to us or report it to someone they trust or feel comfortable with. And that person can report to us and we take it seriously and we will address it right away. And so when you have that trust in your community, you will draw, I believe, we will draw a certain type of people. But I think that we've been so intentional with what we're creating and curating.
Yeah, and I think on top of the actually that word cultivation is like really key because when we've had conversations with dancers, especially dancers who have traveled, dancers who they do this. This is the thing that they do. They travel and they're competitive at a high level and they dance very well. One of the things that they've brought up is how there's a particular scene or a particular city where they really focused on practices and practicas and having that space for people to come and to get better and to work on the craft. Because if and when you do that, when you focus on working on the craft, you can get more out of it. You can enjoy it more. You can express yourself more clearly. I think you have more fun with it. And for some people, that may not be for them. For some, they want to just show up. Maybe they have a long day or a long week and they're just here to dance and that's it. And that's totally fine. But for others who are like, oh, we want to dig in, we also want to have a space where we can focus on that and where we can give feedback or receive feedback. I think it should be both, right? There should be that exchange. And if you've been at it for long enough, like I've been social dancing for way too long, but when you get to a certain point, there's a point where you start saying, I want to develop my own voice. Not necessarily saying, I want to make my own style. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here, but I want to be able to draw from these other styles and these other influences and make these ideas coherent so that when I'm having conversations on the dance floor, that when I'm dancing, no matter who I'm dancing with, I'm still able to dance like me with anyone. And that's what my personal hope is that everyone is able to do it. And I think when we have that space dedicated to practice, we're able to explore that and actually go into that and make that a reality. One of the things that we've been talking about and trying to dive into is how do you codify what fusion is? And I think before we talk about the classes and everything, we also have to be able to address what fusion is. And my understanding, because there's 1,001 ways to interpret it, to describe it, and I think that's the biggest thing that fusion dancers have a hard time with, is like, how do you describe it, right? But you're taking multiple dances, backgrounds, experiences, ideas, and you're filtering them through the lens of connection to your partner and connection to the music. Those are the two main things. Those are like the guiding forces, right? It's like, how do you connect to a person, and then how do you connect to the music? And you relate to the music in multiple ways, right? The instrumentation or the musicality or the lyrics or what you're feeling emotionally, and then through the shared medium of maybe bachata or salsa or something like that, right? Like if my background is Latin and I dance with someone who dances Latin, we're probably going to have an easier time connecting versus someone who might have a background in swing. And so as fusion dancers, our biggest, I want to say our biggest like asset is being able to best find what song or what style matches the song and matches the person. How we can find that in between, how we can be flexible and adaptable enough to say, oh, I need a little bit of a bachata connection, but maybe I need like a West Coast swing timing. Right. Boom. So to do that, so far, unless you're going to like a big conference or something like that, oftentimes the classes for me, I felt like the classes don't always go deep enough. I mean, you might get, an hour class before an event, but you don't really have time to practice the concept that you had. Most of the time, you go in, you do a little practice thing, and then that's it. And for me, something I haven't gotten to do or see is I want to spend more time. I want to spend hours, plural, going over specific things that I can work on with people who also have experience in multiple dances and multiple styles. And so being able to figure out how to work on these things with the right people, that's something that, oh man, I would love. So coming up with FU was more of like scratching, I don't say scratching my own itch, but it was like, oh, other people have felt the same way. If other people are feeling this way, then maybe there's something to it and maybe we should dig into it. And that's from the conversations that we've had and from the late night talks at Denny's and the voice notes to people, the voice notes I probably still haven't gotten back to, which I'm so sorry for. But
Yeah,
like they've all pointed towards the same thing. And
I think that it's funny because on the outside, I can see people being like, "Oh, F you." They just decided to like create Fusion University out of thin air. But this was after months and months of talking to people unintentionally. It's people sharing their frustrations, their ideas. And however, at the end of the day, you do need leaders in a way to kind of spearhead it or to get it started, right? Um,
Mhm.
One of the frustrations I heard from people a lot is that they feel like there are a lot of like open classes. But if you think at other
Mm.
dance scenes like West Coast swing, salsa, there's always usually like level one, level two, level three. Some places do have like for West Coast swing at conventions, there are some classes that you have certain points in order to be able to get in. Because that way, let's say if it's advanced, they know that you already have a lot of the fundamentals down and a lot of the patterns down already. So whatever they
Yeah.
teach at a faster rate, you're going to probably most likely be able to catch and learn at the same speed as those people in that class. So
Mm.
I think in fusion, it's going to be a bit trickier because it's fusion. But one thing I've noticed from getting feedback from people and their frustrations is not being able to practice or learn with people at their same skill level. We're going to be offering 4 different curriculum tracks. So there's going to be track A, where it's if you're brand new to partner dancing, a lot of the stuff that's going to be taught there is going to be connection and the fundamentals, right? Because without that, any partner dancing, you're going to struggle with. Now, track B and C, that's going to be more of the intermediate, but on different spectrums, because there's people where they know the fundamentals, but maybe they haven't, maybe they don't know as many patterns yet, or maybe they're still in like the beginner, light intermediate phase of one certain dance style. But there's also another track where it's track C, where we've seen a lot of this in the LA scene, where they are specialists. They are a Westie, they come from Zouk, and that's all they know, but they're kind of pretty well versed in it, but
Mhm.
but when they're new to fusion, they don't know how to work or what to do with another dancer that is completely not their
Mhm.
style or different
Yeah.
dance style, right? And I think that's kind of cool because there's a moment where I can see for some people it clicks when, they dance with certain people. And where is that space in the LA or OC dance scene to be like, okay,
Hmm.
come practice with other people that are strong in different backgrounds, but they know how to fuse and we can teach you, or other people in our community can teach you what you can do with, your underhand turn, or like when you do this
Hmm.
move in hustle, like this is what you can do to work with contemporary music,
Yeah.
which is something you never dance with in hustle, like that.
Hmm.
So, and then obviously there's track D. So those are people that are going to already have a lot of different dance styles, or they clearly lead, clearly follow, have a lot of lead and follow vocabulary.
We're not trying to position ourselves as experts. What we're trying to do is cultivate a sort of peer mentoring environment, especially when you get to that, like to that track D, to that level. So the emphasis is really on being able to both give and receive feedback, being able to recognize and being able to dance at a level where it's not just about moves, but it's about ideas, it's about concepts, it's about understanding why you're doing what you're doing and how to, like, why you're shaping the conversation the way that you're shaping the conversation. So then it gets out of just moves and doing things, and it gets into that place of artistry. We are collaborating with teachers to help define and clarify like what those standards are, so that we have some barometer of what actually is advanced versus beginner versus intermediate. Yeah, but these aren't like rankings that we're coming up with by ourselves. These aren't things that we're doing, it's just us. Like, this is something that we're doing in collaboration with leaders and with teachers, with people who do this professionally. So we're trying to, and I get that it might be a little scary or daunting to try to codify fusion, because what is fusion, right? But it being this sort of ethereal thing doesn't mean we can't have some clarity in what makes it work, because we know what good fusion is. We've experienced it in the same way that we've experienced good meals. And what might be good for one may not necessarily be good for another, but there are some things that are universal truths and principles. There are some things that we can ground, and we can say, okay, these are characteristics or hallmarks of what makes it good. Now, it might be exceptional for someone, and it might be okay for another, but working with others is helping us to kind of put a definition to those things, to pinpoint it. So it's not just us coming up with random stuff and we're just sitting here talking back and forth like, oh, can you do 12 dips in a row? Then you're good. You know what I mean? It's no, we're definitely. I think
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of it's going to come down to competency, in regards to matching the song and the matching with the person, right? So connection, your technical understanding, right? Like, how are you positioning your body in relation to the moves or things you're attempting to do? Your ability to adapt on the fly, that creativity, musicality, and I think there was one other parameter regarding your use of certain concepts like call and response, right? Or syncopation, or like, how are you structuring the dances that you're doing?
The next thing is a bit controversial
Ooh.
because it hasn't been done in the dance community, but or at least none that I've seen yet. I know maybe there are ones that exist out there secretly. Can
Mm.
you tell us about the idea of our invite only dance social
Yeah.
and the idea behind
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Because this is
Yes.
going to rub a lot of people the wrong way, but at the
Well,
same
yeah.
time, I know a lot of people have
Mhm.
wanted it too.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No,
But no,
no,
for
it's
real, like what?
real.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say for myself personally, if I found out that there was an invite only event and I wasn't invited to it, I might feel some kind of way. I might be like, why wasn't I invited? Right. But something to consider is that we have to be very, very particular about what we're doing and how we're cultivating what we're cultivating, because this is very new. And the things that we really want to drive home aren't just about dance, but are also about safety, and are also about people feeling like they have a space where they can be free to explore something that's very, very personal. I know a lot of people who dance, and they dance from a very personal place, and we want to make sure that the people who are there in that space are all on the same mission, they're all in the same alignment, that their goal is to get better, and that the things that they're doing and saying and how they are is grounded in making sure that the other person is both comfortable but is also feeling that they're being taken care of, you know? So we have to be very particular about who we invite, who we bring, as well as also the skill component. I mean, a big thing that we've been trying to drive home is that we want to make sure that people are matching at that same level. You know, we want to make sure that people who, if you've had, 4 years or 5 years experience, that you're also getting with people who have that same level of experience versus, if you've been at it for 12 years, the things that you might need to work on and refine, or the concepts or things that you've been exposed to, might not be something that someone who's in their first or second year even has an awareness of. And it's not to say like, oh, because you've been dancing 12 years or whatever, you're better or you're a better person or anything. It's not about that. It's just matching the level with the level, you know. I coach wrestling. I actually used to coach wrestling at a junior high level. And for junior high practice, there are things that you can't teach at a junior high practice because they haven't been exposed to it. That for the high school practices, we can talk about these concepts all day. But then when we go to the college level, there are some things in high school that just don't apply, some things from that level that you have to leave behind. And so as you get more experience, as you grow in it, as you mature in it, the thing that we're really trying to do is in some way incentivize growth, but also make sure that we're really, really, really particular about cultivating a certain climate in the room. We want people who are open to feedback, who are giving feedback, who are receiving it, who are taking this seriously and are saying, "Oh, there are other people who take this as serious as me." Okay, cool. Now I can go in, I can get something out of it, and I can also bring my best self to it, knowing that I've put work in.
Yeah. Look, the thing what we're doing is something very different.
Mhm,
And with any industry, anything in the world, when there's a change or there is something that seems drastic, um,
mhm,
there's always gonna be backlash. There's always gonna be
mhm.
someone, but also, we've spoken with a lot of people where they're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, this is something that I've been looking for, I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to, I am." And we understand that FU is not for everyone. It's probably gonna
Mhm.
be for the people that are a bit more, say, I don't know if we want to say, ambitious is the right word, but hungry.
Yeah. I think it's a good word for it.
Yeah, hungry to grow. Um, and And that's totally fine. I can see with the invite only dance social, which is going to happen at this moment every 2 to 3 months, because we are still looking at different studios and stuff at the moment. We're kind of like a mobile company at the moment. And I can see people saying, like, well, are you being exclusive? Everyone is included and welcome to join
Mhm,
these invite only dance socials. However, there are certain parameters you have to meet in order to be invited in. One is, which is really important to us, is a culture fit. So if you are an amazing dancer, phenomenal, stunning, championship, but you have an ego, an
mhm,
attitude, we are willing to not take your money. That is fine with us. Overall, we know that we're not meant for everyone, and that's okay. And for those that don't meet the parameters yet or the skill level, that is why we're offering classes, workshops, and practicas to help you get to that level and be able to join us in our Invite Dance socials.
Like our thing is that we want everyone to be part of it. We want everyone to feel like they have a place that they can go, but not everyone is going to have the same desires or same values, same goals, or same level. And so we're really trying to be particular about that, and we have to be accountable. And so that means we have to be very, very dialed in to who we're inviting and who we're bringing and how these different ingredients are going to mix. So while it might be, not as fun, and it's not really fun for me because I'm the kind of person where I'm like, I want to bring everybody. I'm like, everybody, let's go, let's go, let's go,
Look,
right? The
if
more the
we want to
merrier.
make money, a lot of
Look,
money, we would invite everyone and be like, all right, pay up,
yeah,
guys.
yeah,
Okay. Like, you have no idea. I've been
like
thinking about this
truly.
from a financial
Mhm.
point of view. I was like, what we're doing is not money profit, huge
Yeah,
profit making
yeah,
because we're being so intentional with it. And I don't think sometimes
mhm,
people see the behind the scenes of that,
yeah.
but it's
But who
very,
knows? They might love it. They might hear it and say, "Wow, this is amazing. This is great." And there might be like one or two people who are just like, "I don't like it," but like, or it could be the opposite. I don't know. People can hate it. Guess we'll find out. No, but no, no, no. I mean, it's just we do have to be very, very like this is something that we're trying based on what we've heard from so many people over
So many.
months.
Yeah.
Like it's been a lot. So yeah,
I
we're
think what's
just
been so
we're
helpful
trying to
again
put it
are like
together. Mhm,
teachers and leaders from other dance scenes and other cities that have told us what's
mhm.
worked for them. And
Yeah.
so this is the stuff that obviously we can't really share it all the details on the podcast,
Mhm,
but once we've seen a pattern, we're like, okay, but this is stuff they're not going to share about in public. So we're
mhm.
really putting this all
Yeah.
together. And like
Yeah.
I know and you know that like it's gonna work.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
weird on the surface, but it's going to work.
Fun.
I remember when
Mhm,
someone told us about how um private practicas or invite only events
mhm.
really worked and well, from what they've seen in this very strong dance scene. And I remember thinking like, I don't get it. How can don't you want to invite everyone at the same time to get better? And then you gave me an example from wrestling that made me understand it better.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So there was okay. So when I used to coach, there was this specific camp that would go on during the summer. It was called Overflow Camp. It was a very focused camp. Now, some of these camps can have over 300 kids to give you like an idea, right? 300 kids, 4 or 5 days. It's a great time, but it's also crazy. And with that, a lot of the time they bring in high level teachers, people who can explain a lot of cool stuff, but you only get so much time because it's so many people, right? They can't really like dive in deep and really focus on, a small group. Versus this other camp that was called Overflow, and it was actually only 30 kids, right? Really, I was part of it when I was in high school. It transformed so much of the way that the way I even understood basic things changed because of that camp. But we had kids who would go to this camp and they come back, and the way that they would wrestle after, you would have thought that they had been, at it for 4 or 5 years versus the 1 or 2 years that they had. And the reason that it worked so well is because not only are you working with a smaller group of people, right? And you get to build those bonds and you can kind of get ideas and you see something someone does, you can go to them and say, hey, how'd you do that? But you're also getting focused, really, really intense feedback from the teachers, the instructors, the coaches. They can dive in with you. You're not doing anything else but this. And so because of that, it's like a pressure cooker where you're getting so much that you would have gotten that might have taken you 2 years, 3 years to figure out in a weekend or in a couple. Like, there was a guy I'll just use myself real quick. There was this guy, his name was Tion Ware. He was a like national champion from was it Oklahoma State. I think it was Oklahoma State. I hope I'm not wrong. If I am, my bad. But he he was incredibly good, right? I remember he pulled me to the side. He was like, "You got a really good double leg, but you're letting your knee touch the ground. Let your shoulder make contact with the person first." I was like, "Why?" Not because I was being rude, but because I didn't understand. I wanted to know. And he was like, "Because when you do that, all your," and he understood. He understood because we were able to talk, right? He's like, "When you do that, you carry all the momentum forward instead of into the ground." I was like, whoa, blew my mind. And from that day on, like my coach came back to me in high school. He's like, "What happened at that camp?" He's like, "You're shooting like you've been doing this for your whole life." And I was just like, "I don't know. I don't know, man. I just paid attention. I just did the thing, right?" But it's like because you dialed in and you had that chance to fully lock in, you had people give you that, you're able to just grow exponentially. So yeah, that's that's a little story, but the growth is crazy when you're able to really like dial in.
So that is the concept behind our invite only dance social. And the third component of our Fusion University aspect is the community aspect. And yes, people talk about building the dance community or building the, I think sometimes they talk about what they mean is building the dance scene, having more people show up at dance socials or classes, that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. But I've noticed from building community in other areas of my life, you need the person to person interaction, but who is providing the opportunity, right?
Yeah.
So and that's where we were talking about, like, cool, we are meeting these people, but we barely get to talk to them at dance socials because 'cause we're just busy dancing or the music's loud, so you're screaming over the
Mhm.
music. What are other ways where people can get to know each other? Where other ways
Yeah.
can the followers meet other followers? It took me a
Yeah.
long time. I only knew them because you started introducing me to them because I said,
Yeah.
I want to know some of these people. I only
Mhm.
knew the leads. So,
There are leads that I just met that I've been dancing alongside for 2 or 3 years.
yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
it's funny because, like, yeah, it's like you can know someone for 1 year and still
Mhm.
not know their names.
Yeah. That's
But
true.
I and what I love is, like, sometimes when you have that side chat or even when I, went to like Steve's house party. Shout out to Steve, amazing
Shout out
community member.
Steve.
Thank you so much for facilitating so much of this just out of his own heart. But that's how I start to know people from a human perspective, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. So instead of
Hmm.
being like, oh, you're just this dancer I dance with on Saturday nights, like 2 to 3 times a month, I'm like, oh, this person loves other things too. Oh, this person's really cool. And we get along. We were talking about like, I don't know, we're sharing now I don't know what happened, but 15 minutes later, we're sharing like photos about our cats. So it's just, or talking about for you, talking about anime or some
Yeah.
other nerdy stuff.
That's crazy. Wow. You're not wrong, but just the fact that you just were okay, it's fine. Anyways,
So that's why we are
talking
this
about vision
community.
boards or whatever. No. Ooh, I got an Excel spreadsheet. Like, all right, whatever, dude.
Actually, if the formulas you can do with Excel spreadsheets can be really cool. Anyways, okay. So, but this is why we want to do community events
Yeah.
where anyone can come. You can also bring your non-dance friends. So that way because we're
Yes.
always talking about dance and you can tell our non-dance friends are like, okay, whoop-de-doo. All right. But at least now they have a chance to be like, oh, the people you hang out
Hmm.
with, they're cool. Other humans too. So
Yeah.
we're planning to have, especially because right now it's about summertime and I love the beach. So we're planning to have beach days or potlucks, which sometimes have been happening already, or dinner parties, board game nights. That's a good one. Um,
Hmm.
that people can join.
I think it's one of those things where if you build it, they will come because people want it. Sometimes they just don't know how to do it. And I think with dancers, planning things is really hard. Thinking in advance.
Yes.
I mean, how many times? And look, I say this in love, right? But how many times do we go? And I'm saying this is me too. Do we go to, get invited to an event that we know we're going to go to, that we know we're going to make it, and instead of tapping going, we go maybe. We go interested. Why do we do that? Why? You know what I'm saying? Look, I'm saying this is me too, which is like I'm trying to be very active about saying, you know what, I'm going to commit to it, I'm going to do it, and just like do it. But like I can't tell you how many times I've hit maybe knowing I don't got nothing else going on. I have no plans. I'm there, right? But I'm just like, what if I don't feel like it? Like, come on,
Yeah.
let's be
That's
real,
it.
you
Yeah,
know?
that's really what it is. Well, luckily for these like beach days or
Yeah,
board game nights, they're a bit flexible.
yeah.
People want to come to parties, but they don't want to do the work that it takes to host a party sometimes, because
That's true.
it behind the scenes, man. If you guys have any ideas on what community social activities we can do that are non-dance, we can have music playing in the background, but dancing might not be the main thing. Let
Hmm.
us know because uh, we could always use extra brains in doing this huge project.
Hmm. Yeah, we're very yes and over here. Like, if you give us suggestions, I can guarantee Trang has a folder with another folder inside of that folder that's separated by colors and organized by letter. And she will put that there in that folder and we'll say, all right, on December 23rd, this needs to be implemented in stage 12. Like, yeah. So please
Uh,
give us
one
your
thing you
feedback.
one thing you're wrong about that is I don't have physical folders. Everything's virtual now, Caitlin.
Oh, of course,
So
of course, of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course. That's what I meant. Yeah. Naturally. Okay, okay, okay. So now I have a question for you, Trang. My question is, what has been the most challenging part so far of FU?
working with you.
Wow. Okay. We just gonna do that. Cool. Good to know. Good to know.
No, I think I think people don't realize that I was laying in bed last night. I was like, oh no, it's FU taking over my life now. I can see why no one in LA or OC decide to do something like this. It is a huge feat to do. It is a massive project. Um, and it takes a lot of time and energy and connections. Um, because before I used to be like, why didn't anyone do this? And now I'm doing it, starting to do it. I'm like, oh wow, this is a lot of work. And I think there's a lot of operations behind the scenes and execution. But usually because that's more of my not lane, but what I do, my
Mhm.
specialty. Um, versus like what people see on the outside. Or for you, you're definitely with branding, communications, marketing, and stuff like that. So uh I think what's great is that we can start from anything because this is pretty much a startup. But because of that area, the possibilities are endless. But at the same time, like we're doing classes, we're doing workshops, practicas, we're doing dance socials, we're doing community events. For that to just fall on two people, it's gonna burn ourselves out. And I know that. I remember laying in bed being like, how are we gonna do this? I know how to do this stuff, but it's like, how are we going
Mhm.
to do this with our own hands, right? And that brings me to the fact that we need support from dance community, from you, yes, you listening in, to help us succeed. There's no way we can do this alone. I'm going to give you an example of a behind the scenes that people don't see. So we need to invest in speakers, like the PA system, right? Because at every dance studio right now, we don't have like one location where we're doing this every month consistent. It's kind of like it might be in the OC, it might be in LA, at other studio. We have to look at studio options. What is the size that can fit like 30 to 40 dancers for now? As we grow, it's going to have to move to a different location, right? But so that's the expense of that. And then, no, not every dance studio is going to have their own system, PA system, or maybe we have to provide our own that will be of decent or good sound quality, right? But finding speakers. So this one task that people might find easy, like look up speakers, buy them. That's one task, right? But the thing is, we don't have that money. We literally are a startup. So this task of finding speakers is asking people around our community. If you guys know, please holler at us if you know about PAs and stuff like
Yeah.
that. What features do we want? Do we want Bluetooth, wired? Do you know how portable are they? So doing that research, asking people around, that takes hours to reach out to people. And then after that, it's, oh, how are we going to come up with money for this? We're going to have to fundraise. How are we going to fundraise? Oh, great. Maybe we can do practicas and at certain places, right? So because we're trying to keep the overhead costs low, we're doing practicas maybe at people's homes, right? But how much of that can we charge in order to try to fundraise for these speakers? So this one task that you think is an easy 1 hour job is starting to become a 40-hour task. And this is like the behind the scenes of a chain reaction of things that people don't see, right? And that's just step one. So,
Yeah.
so I think what we can use help in is a lot of times we have to reach out to people and be like, hey, do you know about this and that? But what would help is if people came to us and said, like, hi, my name is so and so. Here's my experience. I've taught, I don't know, beginners before in class, or like, I'm really good at admin stuff. I'm really good at AV tech stuff. I have knowledge about these other things.
Yeah.
Videography or whatever tech and stuff like that that I can help out with. I have a
Yeah.
house I can host people in. Like the practicas we have are meant to be or even the classes and workshops we have are very intentionally going to be small, 6 to 8 people, maybe 10 max, because we want to be able to give people have enough time to get enough attention from the teacher, to
Yeah.
learn. And so again, like I said, these are not huge money makers because we're not having huge 40 people classes. Trust us, if we want to make a lot of money, this whole business structure would be very different. I know I keep talking about money, but this is from the operational point of view. Okay. So,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
so, if you have a house that you're just like, oh, I can host sport game nights, or like I can, I'm available to host like classes, just space, please reach out to us and let us know that way. Um, I can at least mark you down as a resource instead, because it takes a lot of energy and time to be reaching out to everyone, but we do need everyone's help, or even later on, like, hey, I can offer carpooling if anyone's coming from the side of town over.
Yeah.
We have some people that I kind of have in mind already of where they live. So if they are open to carpooling, that's an option for them. So from Trang of FU, we do need help and in ways like that. So, or if you have other resources, let us know, and many ideas, or if you're like, hey, I'm an extra pair of hands. If you need help setting up, like, okay, Caitlin, I know you have muscles, I barely don't. So it's just things like that where having like to lug things and whatnot. But right now, a lot of it is like fundraising or ideas on or needing help with finding speakers,
Yeah.
and then there's more that will come, but also just like giving us resources, coming and reaching out to us. You can email, DM us, comment, whatever it is, but that'll be really helpful.
Yeah. Harass us in the streets. Pull us to the
Yes.
side. Actually, no, pull Train to the side. Because if you pull me to the side, I'm gonna be like, wow, that was great, and I'm gonna forget. So yeah, yeah, yeah. No, tell her.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just yeah, boom.
Yeah. And the thing is, we're very realistic. We know like some people have families. So, or some people teach as their full-time job, or people have day jobs, So we know that people can contribute like sometimes in only certain aspects, and that's totally fine. There's some people that are busy, there's teachers that are very knowledgeable, but they were able to help with their knowledge and pass that on to us.
Mhm.
So, which has
Yeah.
been very helpful because they've been in the dance scene for like
Mhm.
so many years and
Yeah.
have traveled to other places and seen what's
Yeah.
work and stuff like that. So that itself is
Mhm.
also valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
anyways,
Mhm.
long story
Yeah.
short, we need community's help, and
Please help
we're
us.
please. Please. I like how this podcast was like, we're so excited, and it's starting to end with like, we need your help.
We do though. We really do. I mean, I
We
think
do.
like we can be both excited and terrified at the same time. It's like a roller coaster, you
Yeah,
know? Because you're like, wow, it's gonna be so great. But you're also like, oh, there's a drop. That's far.
that's a
Like,
good example. It's like,
yeah,
yeah, I was laying in bed being like, thinking like this past week, being like, did we bite off more than we can
yeah,
chew?
yeah,
And it's hard because part of me knows, you know what it is? I can see the ending of this. I can
hmm
see in the future for some odd reason what it's gonna look like. But
yeah.
oh, you know what it's like? It's like going to med school and you know you're gonna get your like have your own doctor's office and everything, but you're like,
Mm,
oh my gosh, med school's gonna be really rough. Because
yeah.
you just don't know how you can get there yet. And
I totally get it.
yeah. Okay, Dr. Caitlin.
Totally,
Oh,
totally understand. No,
I
no, no,
okay,
no.
this
I get what you're saying. You're definitely right with it. I think it's like you know that it's going to be worth it in the end, but the process is going to be a process. You know, it's going to take a little work to get there. It's going to take a
we
little
are
elbow
raising,
grease.
yes, we are raising a
Yeah.
baby and we're waiting, like we can see it be an
So
adult.
hold on, that's a crazy way to put it.
Oh,
I understand. I understand. That's a wild one. That
we're raising this ethereal kid, but right now our vision is what it looks like as an adult.
yeah,
But we need
yeah.
help changing the diapers
We
and
diapers
all that
and
stuff.
all of that
If you're a parent, you
formula.
know. Yeah.
If you're a parent, yeah, you know.
Okay, to wrap it up, what do you hope people will feel
Mm.
when they check out FU?
Yeah, encouraged and inspired. I hope those are two things that people feel. Encouraged because they can see that there's more to it and that it's like, oh wow. It's almost like realizing that there's so much more left to be explored. That whether you've been doing
Mm.
this for a couple months or you've been doing this for a couple decades, that there are still parts that you can grab this idea and you can bring this thing together. And what if you did it this way? That there's so much more to be. There's still magic in dance, you know. So that's the first one, and then the second one in terms of inspired is that you can do it, that you can actually achieve, and that you can grow, and that you can cultivate something in yourself, but not just in yourself, in your community, in the people next to you, the people across from you, and not just that, but also that you can contribute to like, I mean, we're in Los Angeles right now, but you can contribute to something bigger than yourself, you know, and that you feel inspired and drawn to doing that. That's what we're trying to do. We're starting here with you know, with our people, with our community, with our scene, our friends, et cetera, et cetera. But our hope, our aim, our thoughts are like way, way, way down. But you know, it's gonna take time to get there, right? Like we got to start somewhere, and you know, that's what we're trying to do. So we hope other people feel activated too. And not
Oh,
just in dancing, but like other cool stuff too. If they want to do cool stuff too. Yeah, if they want to do cool stuff with us, send Trang an email, not me, because I'm probably gonna miss it.
yeah. I think mm, there's like I won't say a weird feeling I have about this. Not weird is not the right word, but I feel like Fusion University is, I'm going to talk about the community aspect of it. It's going to be a
Okay.
place where people feel like they belong when they don't feel like they
Mhm.
belong in other places, whether it's in other dance scenes or in life. I think we have such an eclectic group of people in LA and OC. I mean, b- it's a city, but also I think
Yeah.
I'm a social dancer, so are you. We don't compete, but we are surrounded by in other dance scenes by people that do compete. They have their own cliques, their own groups, that kind of stuff. And they do have a different, say different drive, but different goals, right? And a lot of social dancers aren't going to be at that level where it's like you're trying to get points, top notch level, that
Mhm.
kind of stuff. And so I feel like a lot of people enjoy dancing. They that do want to get better, but they don't feel like they belong. Where do they go? With the people that just want to social dance, but want to interact and do more with it, right? So
Mhm.
I think and I hope that FU or just Fusion in general is a place where people can find that. Okay, final question is where do you see FU in say like
Yeah.
5 years?
World wide. I'm talking Prague, I'm talking
Really?
Venezuela, I'm talking that I don't know, I'm just saying stuff right now. I'm just hyped. I mean, maybe like look, the I actually no, honestly, I do and I can see FU like worldwide as like an idea. And I think because LA tends to be in like an epicenter for a lot of cultural shifts in just all manners of life, right? Not just like dance, but just like in stuff in general, that the people here have something to give. And there's so many I mean, we have so many talented people in our dance community, not just dance wise, but just like life in general, like super just people who are crazy talented, and we all just so happen to be here at this time at this place. I can very, very, very easily see FU being something that people are like, "Oh, I'm in LA. I want to check out FU. I want to take this back home with me." Not because of us, but because of the people in our community. You know what I mean? Like people being like, "Oh, you're a fusion dancer?" And they're like, "Oh, I know what that not only do I know what that is, but like I want to get in on that, you know?" In the same way that, you could say, "Oh yeah, I dance salsa." You know what that is. I dance West Coast swing. You know what that. Like we have an idea of that, right? Like I could very easily see that in 5 years where there's just this level of like, wow, FU. So, you know what I mean? Because of the people. Because literally everybody that we know, these are people who are traveling. They're going out. They're going to different places. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we're building here and then we're going out and then we're coming back and we're going out. And people are like, oh my gosh, LA is amazing. It's this dance hub that like I never want to leave. And then, just take it's like fusion just takes over. That's where I see it in 5 years.
It's funny because it's interesting. I wonder with this podcasting, how people get to know us over time and how we think, right? You are speaking of FU from a concept idea in a way,
Mhm.
a bigger picture, and I'll speak from my side of the brain where it's from a logistical point of view of where I see or would hope to see Fusion University in 5 years. Even less, depends. I feel like this could happen in less than 5 years. Um, Okay, first of all, we have our classes, workshops, and that kind of stuff. And we're growing the dancing. There's more people coming, community and stuff like that. I also see us doing a 1 day intensive, just like SoCal, but people can come from out of town intensive with a dance social one night.
Mhm.
And from event point of view, I'm like, use that, take that as feedback. And then the following year, do, or I don't know how many years down the line, do a FU weekender in LA. Like there's Seattle Hi-Fi, there's Austin, there's Mission Camp Out in San Francisco. LA is such a huge
Mhm.
city that I'm kind of like, that's so sad we don't have our own thing. But again, we are building it. It is a baby right now. But and I remember you thinking like, how are we gonna do that? I was like, ow. It's funny how we complement each other. So there's a little thing about people, if you guys are listening in,
Yeah.
what it's like to work with each other. The things I freak out about, he chills me out about. The stuff he freaks out about, I'm like, "Psh, that's easy to do. So we
That's true.
we
True.
somehow magically cover each other's butts in that sense,
Yeah.
emotionally and mentally. Uh, yeah. So, and then one day I would love to do a dance retreat somewhere like Mexico or something like that.
Yo, yeah, yeah, that would be
That'd be a
fire.
weekend. But
That'd
yeah,
be
yeah.
that'd be
That'd be
really
more
cool.
like fun shenanigans, but like dancing and stuff like that, and maybe have a local instructor and stuff. But so those are our very ambitious goals, but really exciting. I know it's gonna happen. It's just a matter of when. And but again, we cannot do this without the help of the community and resources from you guys, your ideas, your also honestly, your words of affirmation help us too. Because there's some
Yeah.
days where we are tired and I'm just like, is this what are we doing? But at the same time, I'm like, nah, this has been sort of a long time coming, just through many discussions and knowing that a lot of people have been looking for it. So we're super excited. So, with that, if you enjoyed this episode, please share this with all your friends and give us a follow and 5-star rating on Apple, Spotify. Check us out. Our podcast social media is at Fusion Dance Podcast, but our dance school is found at Fusion University. So we've included a list of all the places to go social dancing here in LA. That's included down in the show notes. Also, check out for our upcoming classes, our private classes, practicas, and invite only social events by making sure to sign up for our email newsletter below. And again, we'll include all the links down below in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening to us chat, and thank you for being here with us. And we will see you next time.